Well, now take down your fishing pole and meet me at the fishing hole. I can't think of a better way to pass the time of day.
RodMob. This is The Splash, your Northern California fishing podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I'm Scott.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're coming at you from the RodMob Treehouse Studios here in Deer Central, Portola Valley. It's Friday, March 15th, 2013, and this is episode 47 of The Splash, your weekly Northern California fishing podcast.
Things are heating up and we'll cover all the latest reports. There's been good sturgeon action in Sassoon Bay, lots of bass and trout on the lakes, plenty of beautiful bows are being caught on the lower Sac and Redding, and is it striper time? We'll let you know.
Today we'll check in with Jerry from DeltaStripers.com, and we've also got fly fishing guide and instructor Matt Herron joining us. But first, let's kick things off with the news.
Here's Sarah with the latest headlines.
Well, salmon season is just around the corner. The Pacific Fishery Management Council met this week in Tacoma, Washington, where they set the dates for the recreational and commercial salmon seasons. The recreational season on the California coast south of Humboldt County will start April 6th, and the minimum length is 24 inches. Commercial fishing will start May 1st. In order to limit effects on winter-run Chinook, there will also be days where fishing is prohibited, but which days those will be hasn't been decided yet. There are 3 options out for public review right now, ranging from 29 to 35 days off for commercial fishing, mainly in June, July, and October, and up to 9 days off for recreational fishing. The decision on the day off proposal will be made in early April. And we came across a very disturbing story this week on J.D. Ritchie's website, fishwithjd.com, reporting that millions of wild salmon and steelhead in British Columbia are dying in rivers before spawning due to viruses associated with fish farms there. Brad Crowther from Salmon Are Sacred tells J.D., the government denies this information because so many of these feedlots are located in Discovery Passage, north of Campbell River, British Columbia. I'm quite certain that your U.S.-bound fish, if not already affected, will likely be. Animal rights organization PETA has asked the state of Vermont to cancel its Let's Go Fishing program. Let's Go Fishing is a free program that teaches young people about preserving the ecosystem, ethical angling behavior, and habitat conservation. PETA claims that fishing is violent and causes fish pain, and also argues that fish contain mercury, which can cause brain damage when eaten in large doses. Of course, anglers argue that fishing is great for the economy and gets kids outside, and money spent on fishing licenses help fund conservation efforts. The state of Vermont has no plans to cancel the Let's Go Fishing program and is already scheduling summer fishing trips for the 4,000 kids who participate. A 2,000-pound, 14-foot-long great white shark, nicknamed Lydia, was tagged and released in Florida last week. Lydia is the first great white to be tagged in Florida waters. The tagging is part of a project working to better understand the great white shark's life cycle, since so little is known about how they mate, breed, and mature, which has made it hard for organizations to make conservation decisions as shark populations are declining around the world. Researchers fitted Lydia with a satellite tag to track her movements. An accelerometer was also attached to her fin so they could track every movement and tilt of her body. Various blood and tissue samples were collected from Lydia before her release so researchers can assess impacts from environmental pollution. Scientists, and all the rest of us, can track Lydia and other sharks' movements using a new global shark tracker on the web at sharks-ocearch.verite.com. We'll put a link to that in the show notes if you're interested in checking out the shark tracker.
Lydia is a horrible 2,000-pound great white shark name.
What should she be named?
Not Lydia. I don't know. I don't have a better one off the top of my head, but Lydia's not working for me.
Like Mamu or something?
Kind of has a killer whale sound to it. But
oh, yeah.
I'll think of one.
Okay. For those of you who didn't see the post on our Facebook page last week, a 50-plus pound striper was caught and released on the Northeast Delta by Captain Mike Gravert of Intimidator Sport Fishing. Western Outdoor News reports the fish came in 8 feet of water, drifting a new Romeo's jumbo minnow on one of Intimidator Sport Fishing's K-Hill custom drifting rods, with a Shimano Calcutta spooled with 30-pound Power Pro braid, on their drift rig, a Seaguar fluorocarbon carbon leader, and a size 1 owner mosquito hook.
I wouldn't even name that striper, Lydia. Okay, how about Rosie the shark?
Rosie.
Okay,
Rosie, that's good.
Or Sheila. No, Rosie. Lydia.
All right, so we definitely know there's some big stripers out there, basically.
We know there's one. He did let it go.
And Captain Mike said that they caught this fish in the same exact spot that they caught a fish, I think it was last year, that was like 42 pounds. So either it's gained 8 pounds in the last year, or there's actually more than one really big striper out there. Well, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration released their annual Fisheries Economics Report this week. The report has a 2-year lag, so this was the report for 2011, and it showed that U.S. commercial and recreational saltwater fishing generated more than $199 billion in sales and supported 1.7 million jobs in our nation's economy. The NOAA's press release says that the seafood industry, harvesters, seafood processors and dealers, seafood wholesalers and retailers generated $129 billion in sales impacts, $37 billion in income impacts, and supported 1.2 million jobs in 2011. Recreational fishing generated $70 billion in sales impacts, $20 billion in income impacts, and supported 455,000 jobs in 2011. Compared to 2010, the numbers are up for all of those impacts except commercial seafood sales. Commercial and recreational fishing are integral parts of the nation's social and economic fabric, said Sam Roch, Deputy Assistant NOAA Administrator for NOAA's Fisheries Service. While there's still work to do to see landings and value climb in 2011 shows we're moving in the right direction, even in this time of challenging transition for many fishing communities. The annual report also breaks down the sales impacts, income impacts, and job figures for each coastal state, and the 5 states that generated the most jobs from fishing in 2011 were California, Massachusetts, Florida, Washington, and Alaska. Well, that's it for the headlines. Now for some tight lines. First up, we've got an interview with Matt Herron from Matt Herron Fly Fishing.
Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on, and I'd love to tell you a little bit about what we have going on up here in North Lake Tahoe and, everything else fishing. So
Cool. Why don't you give us an overview of what you guys do?
So we have a few different things that we offer with our program up here. We're based out of Resort at Squaw Creek, which is in Olympic Valley. The area is definitely famous for skiing, but summertime there isn't much better than getting out on the river and doing some fishing. As far as what we have program-wise is there's 2 different sides to my business. We do classes and guide trips, and the classes tend to be our bread and butter. We have a lot of cool things going on that most people don't, which we're really proud of. We actually have 2 private stock ponds at Resort at Squaw Creek that I stock every year with rainbows, and we offer a number of different classes for adults, kids, beginners, pretty much anyone that we offer daily. Generally, we do 1 to 3 classes a day. Our most popular class by far is called the Cast and Catch. It's a 3-hour class. We start with an hour-and-a-half casting lesson, followed by an hour-and-a-half of guided fishing on the 2 private ponds. The other popular options, our kids class is called Creek Creatures. Again, that's a 3-hour class that, depending on the age of the kids and what the parents want to do, we usually start with about an hour and 15 minutes of fishing. If the kids are really young, we'll use spinning rods. Don't have a problem doing that at all. And then what we do is we come into the classroom, the Fly Fishing Center, and we'll do about, a 20-minute short, easy PowerPoint presentation on all the bugs, and the kids get to see what the fish eat, that kind of thing. Then we'll watch a short video clip from Bugs of the Underworld, so the kids aren't just looking at a computer screen. They actually get to see the real bugs underwater. If there's time, that's followed by a fly tying class, and then we end every Creek Creatures class by shooting down to the river and actually taking a live bug sample. And many times that's more fun than the fishing for the kids. So it's a lot of fun to do that. And all of our classes range from an hour and a half to full day. We can kind of custom tailor any option you see on the website to what people want to do. And, hopefully we'll be able to incorporate what you want to learn for your goals as a fly fisher. And then, as you can imagine, with our guide trips, we have full and half day guide trips, primarily on the Truckee and Little Truckee. And we have a couple private water options as well. We guide the Pleasant Valley Fly Fishing Preserve, which is about 45 minutes south of South Lake. And then we also have a lake, which is the famous fishery up by North Star right here in Truckee. So a lot of different stuff going on here on the North Shore. And in the winter time, we try to do 1 or 2 saltwater trips a year. So pick a lodge and a destination and bring a group of anglers down there and have fun. And this year's trip, we just got back from Honduras here in the last week, and it was a lot of fun. Caught a bunch of fish, and it was a kind of trip of a lifetime feel. So we had a blast. One thing that we're hoping to get going this year, which would be a first in Tahoe, are helicopter trips, and we're hoping to offer those to a couple backcountry rivers. That's the kind of the permitting for that is still in the works, but we've already gotten permission to fly out of the Truckee Airport and land down at the Pleasant Valley Fly Fishing Preserve. So it's not your typical helicopter tour in the sense that you can't get to it by car. So you can drive up to it, but the cool thing is between Truckee and Pleasant Valley, you also get a cool aerial tour of the lake, which is pretty breathtaking, as you can imagine. So it's still early spring right now. We're working out the details, but hopefully by this summer, we'll be able to offer some helicopter trips, which will be a lot of fun.
Oh, man, that sounds awesome. Put me on the list for that one. What a great idea.
Thank you. It'll be exciting.
What about photography? Do you do photography? I know that my partner of mine pulls up some fish pictures sometime, and I looked at it. I said, that's a Matt Herron picture, isn't it? I recognized your work.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. The photography thing is kind of what I do for fun on the side. The end of last year, I kind of stepped it up a notch and got a really nice SLR camera and a little bit better editing software. And I really love the photography side of things. It's getting to the point where, with guide trips and classes and stuff, obviously with beginners, we really love to get them into their first fish or maybe their biggest fish or who knows. And the next step for me, part of my goal as the guide is to, hopefully get a few pictures that they can take home with them, and it'll help them remember that fish of a lifetime.
So, Matt, how's the fishing going right now?
As far as what we have going on right now, fishing-wise on the North Shore, it's been unusually warm this March. We're still waiting for the cold weather to happen. At least the skiers are, and it doesn't look like at this point it's gonna. So hopefully we're going to start seeing some pretty consistent early season hatches. Right now we have some winter stones going on. Obviously the normal winter stuff are small midges, but blue-winged olives are the norm. That'll probably be one of our first consistent hatches. Little beta mayflies, usually size 16 to 18s. Sometimes we'll see some 20s around. Probably won't see many caddis for a while, but on the Truckee, we should start to see maybe a few squala stoneflies here pretty soon, which will be the first kind of big bug of the season, which gets all those big fish looking up. I wouldn't call it a consistent hatch, but if you're out there when it happens, it can be pretty magical to get those big fish on the Truckee on top when there's still a little bit of snow on the ground. So it's going on right now, and as it gets warmer, it's going to change, and it's only going to get better here until summer. So we're excited to have kind of a mild start to spring here in Tahoe.
How do our listeners reach you and learn more about Matt Herron fly fishing?
So there's a few ways to get a hold of me. One is my phone. Phone number is area code 518-225-6587. Again, it's 518-225-6587. But probably the most popular way would be the website, which is pretty simple. It's mattherronflyfishing.com. And just remember Herron like the bird. That's kind of how I explain it to everybody so they remember it. But it's mattherron.com. And then also we have a Facebook fan page, which if you just do a Google search for Matt Herron Fly Fishing, that'll pop up. And every once in a while we run some contests. And we're approaching 1,000 likes on the page, which we're real excited about. And once we hit 1,000 likes, we're going to do some kind of giveaway or something along those lines. So when we hit 500, it went really well. We gave away a bunch of gear and T-shirts and line, and we'll see what we have in store for 1,000 likes. So the other exciting thing too is as we speak, I'm looking to launch our new website, which will be bigger and better, and have videos and very social media heavy, if you will. And that's hopefully going to be done in the next couple of weeks. So we're excited to hit 1,000 likes and launch the new website. So
you hear that, Rod Mobbers? Let's show Matt some love and get him those 1,000 likes.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, let's get into the latest reports on the best Northern California fishing.
Starting with saltwater, the Northern California party boats that are active right now are still getting out for limits of crab and sand dabs when interest in Mother Nature dictates. Many skippers are sleeping in or are getting their boats ready for April. Shore, surf, jetty, and sport anglers are targeting rockfish and stripers up and down the coastline.
Surf perch fishing has been good in the Santa Cruz area. The 9th annual Sand Crab Classic Perch Tournament was last Saturday. First place went to Todd Schallenberger for a 2-pound, 3-ounce striped perch he caught in Monterey using bait. The fish measured 14 and 4/16 inches. Second place went to Justin Morris for a 2-pound, 3-ounce black perch that was 13 and 15/16 inches long. And third place went to Matt Mitchie, who had a 2-pound, 1-ounce black perch, which he also caught on bait in Monterey. All three were repeat winners. The winner of the women's division this year was Jennifer Valentine for a 1-pound, 14-ounce black perch, which she caught in Monterey using a bloodworm. There were also trophies and rod and reel combos for winners in the youth division.
Anglers in San Pablo Bay are still hooking sturgeon off the pump house and China Camp. Good striper reports are also coming in from the North Bay. Mud shrimp and ghost shrimp have been the hot baits. Sturgeon and some stripers are being reported up in the Petaluma and Napa rivers. Shore anglers are still hooking perch and starry flounder. Some halibut were caught trolling off a Hunter's Point.
Great sturgeon fishing in the Delta continues. Diamondbacks are taking grass shrimp and roe at the Benicia Bridge, the Mothball Fleet, Garnet Point, and in Montezuma Slough. The striper bite is heating up every day throughout the Delta. Largemouth and black bass are being taken in Frank's Tract, 14 Mile Slough, and Fisherman's Cut using shad-colored plugs, Senkos, and jigs. The Iselton chapter of the California Striped Bass Association held its Sturgeon Derby over the weekend. The target length was 55 inches, and dinos that were entered were caught in Grizzly Bay, Cache Slough, and Prospect Slough. Delta trolling guru Clyde Wands called in a report to the RodMob hotline. Here's what Clyde had to say.
Fished the Delta again today. Well, fished it over the weekend in a Sturgeon Derby. Windy Saturday, and Sunday was a beautiful day, but no fish caught. Lots of fish around us. They just didn't go. For our derby, we only had 3 weighed in. Our target was 55. I think we had one 54, pretty close to 55. But today, back to what I like to do. I trolled upriver, up north of the Rio Vista Bridge, and 10 nice fish. 10 fish. Got one at 12 pounds I released, and lost another one that must have rolled my line and had a fray in my leader. Got away with my good lure. But anyway, the bite went on for about an hour, maybe 2 hours that I was catching fish. Either hooking them or getting a few, and pretty good go of fish coming up. And they were all males that I kept. I kept one about 8 pounds and one about 4. Just enough for dinner. And I'll probably be going back out Thursday, and I'll let you know what's going on. It was all shallow trolling, and the hot lure was a redhead angry eye.
And we got an update today from Jerry from DeltaStripers.com.
Things have really picked up. Real big change in the fishing. The water's warmed up. It's cleared up. It's greening up for spring. And some fish have moved up into the North Delta.
Fantastic. So you've been out and things are going real good, huh?
Yeah, we went out. I've been going out 3 and 4 hours at a time, sometimes with friends, sometimes by myself. We've been averaging anywhere from a dozen to 15 fish. I was out yesterday, and I fished for about 4 hours for myself, ended up with a dozen fish, the largest a 7-pounder, the next one a 6-pounder. And they're with the warm water, they're really hot. They just put me on the reel in seconds.
That's awesome. How are you targeting these guys?
Using a sinking line, quick sinking line, and a Clouser minnow, and I've changed. I've got off the chartreuse Clouser, and I'm using almost an all-white with a pink collar. It's just a huge difference in the amount of grabs I'm getting. If you want to fly fish for these guys, I'm finding them close to the tules in less than 10 feet of water, and relatively close to the bottom. So I would work the walls and work the flats if I was going to be fly fishing out there. Use the standard striper retrieve, quick strips, and then a few pauses thrown in, a few more quick strips, and they're hitting the fly really hard, jerking the line right on my hand.
So if you guys want to get on some of that hot striper action, hit up deltastripers.com. Jerry has his calendar online, and it definitely sounds like it's time to get out there.
Stay on top of the latest fishing action. Subscribe to RodMob Podcasts on iTunes. It's free, and you'll always get the latest episodes.
I'll be hitting the Delta on Sunday.
What are you targeting, stripers or sturgeon?
I'm going stripers.
All right.
Not sure exactly where yet, but I got to get out there.
Keep us posted.
Now let's look at the lakes. At Lake Shasta, top lining for trout near the dam has been producing. The bass bite has been good with live minnows and swim baits and is expected to really turn on any day now. The king salmon bite should start kicking in soon also.
Reports from Lake Almanor say that trout are being taken trolling the surface on the West Peninsula around Wreck 2, Goose Island, and Plumas Pines. Salmon are at 25 to 50 feet deep off the Canyon Dam along the east shore.
Clear Lake is fishing great right now. Dave Brauback from Clear Lake Outdoors reported earlier this week that Alabama rigs are still kicking out big limits of bass, but it can be tough out there. Fishing minnows seems to be the most effective. The Future Pro Tour Big Bass Brawl kicked off on Clear Lake last weekend. There were 135 boats, and the winners, Vince Herring and Kenneth Durling, weighed in a 34.81-pound sack, with their biggest fish coming in at 8.95 pounds. They used Alabama rigs all day and told the Stockton Examiner, "We did a lot of scrambling. We pretty much ran the entire lake, caught our fish, and made our bites count. We didn't catch a lot of fish like everyone else. We just had to grind for those good ones."
Mixed reports from Lake Berryessa have us kind of confused. One day it's hot, another day it's cold. So someone please call in and set us straight. 855-RODMOB1.
The bass bite at Lake Orville is on fire. Guide Ron Gondolfi reports anglers can catch 40-plus fish per day right now. Fish are in the mud lines at 5 to 10 feet deep, but mostly down at 20 to 30 feet deep. A-rigs, crankbaits, Senkos, and drop shot worms are the top offerings.
Folsom Lake has seen an improved bass bite. Plastics and swim baits are working with slower presentations. The main body of the lake is still producing good numbers of trout for trollers working the top 12 feet. King salmon are down deeper, around 30 feet.
Collins Lake got another 1,800 pounds of trout on Monday, and the fishing has been great for both shore anglers and trollers. Most folks are getting limits or having multi-fish days. The trout have been big, too, many 6- and 7-pounders. There are reports that the bass action is picking up, too, at Collins.
In the East Bay, bass fishing at Contra Loma Reservoir is picking up, and proof may be the 10-plus pound largemouth caught by Jeremy Downing last Monday. Jeremy was using a Rapala lipless crankbait.
The trout trucks at San Pablo have been busy this week, dumping a total of 3,200 pounds, including 120 pounds of trophy sizers. Hot spots have been the shoreline near the main wreck area and across the other side at Sandy Point and Scout Canyon. The shoreline at the boat launch area is also producing. Top baits are chartreuse and spring green power bait, as well as mice tails and inflated night crawlers.
Fishing at Lafayette Reservoir has been picking up lately, and 1,000 pounds of trout from Mount Lassen Hatchery were planted on Tuesday. The East Cove has been a good spot for trout. RodMobber John Migliori reported in last week that the action was better on lures than bait. John tells us he limited out in less than an hour with chartreuse dynamite lure from Shady Creek Lures. The bass bite at Lafayette is picking up too.
At Los Vaqueros, trollers are hooking some school-sized stripers, but it's all about the trout right now. Trollers are scoring with Rapalas in the top 12 feet off Howden Cove and Peninsula Cove, and the shore anglers are hooking trout with garlic power bait, orange mice tails, and night crawlers. Another 1,000 pounds of trout was planted this week at Los Vaqueros.
Lake Del Valle got a recent trout plant, but the fishing remained slow. We were out there last Sunday and put in a long day, only catching one 18-inch rainbow off the swim beach with a mice tail and rainbow power bait combo.
Lake Chabot has been planting trout weekly, but water clarity has been tough on the bite. Hopefully things will clear up there soon.
Reports from Shadow Cliffs have been great from both the shore and from kayakers and tubers.
And in the mother lode, Saturday's American Bass Association tournament in New Melones saw a huge winning spotted bass limit of 40.5 pounds and a 15.32-pound largemouth limit. Brush hogs, Senkos, and lizards enticed most of the bites. Weekly DFW plants continue, and the trout fishing continues to be fair at New Melones. Trollers are getting occasional limits from the surface to 25 feet with blade crawler combos. on one rod and floating rapalas on a second. Bank fishing has picked up a little bit due to the small amount of rain. Kokanee fishing should kick in April, and crappie fishing has been good with live minnows.
Trophy-sized trout are being planted and caught at Lake Amador. Jared Hall Cove has been a hot spot. The crappie and largemouth bass bite is improving, and pressure is light and access is good. RodMobber Leon Stepp sent in a report after fishing Amador yesterday. Leon caught 1 cutbow and 2 big rainbows. It's true, the trout are big at Lake Amador. RodMobber Eric Lee Fowler tips live minnows bought there work the best, chartreuse flake power bait, and a red light-up bobber for trout. Now's the time to get out there.
Pardee Lake Recreation has planted a grand total of 10,000 pounds of rainbows. Bank fishing is good all around the recreation area and behind the East Bay Mud Boathouse, Rainbow, and Blue Heron Point, and the shore to the left of the center arm of the Marina Slipwalk. Trollers are scoring trout in Columbia Gulch. The fish are still at 10 to 18 feet, and most are using night crawlers behind medium flashers and dodgers. The bass bite is good along the exposed rock edges with spinnerbaits. RodMobber Tommy called in last weekend with this report from Pardee.
Hey, mobsters, how you doing? This is Tommy. We hit Lake Pardee today. Was able to get 3 in the boat. Nice weather. It took some work to do it. Got them on a fire tire and a couple of Uncle Larry's. Nice day out there. That's it for today. See ya.
Leave your fishing report on the RodMob hotline. 855-RodMob1.
At Lake Comanche, the pond has been a good hot spot for trout, and the fishing is picking up on both sides of the lake, mostly from boaters using various types of lures. Power baits, power eggs, and night crawlers have been the go-to baits. The black bass bite is improving with Senkos and crankbaits.
Lake Don Pedro is reporting excellent bass action with minnows and rainbow trout Huddlestons. Anglers are also getting into plenty of trout, salmon, and a few kokanee. More trout will be planted at Don Pedro this Sunday.
And the trout are active at Lake McSwain. The DFW has been planting trout, and they're ending up on the hooks of anglers working areas like the brush pile and floating restrooms. Crawlers and corn power bait are recommended. RodMobber Darren Jimenez posted a photo on our Facebook page this week of his wife Erin, who caught her first fish ever at Lake McSwain this week.
In the Sierras, great reports continue from Lake Tahoe. Seems like everywhere you look, we're seeing someone holding up a monster mac or brown. Shore anglers are reporting in with some good numbers of rainbows.
Shore anglers working the west end of Donner Lake are getting into plenty of rainbows using night crawlers, salmon eggs, and lures. Trollers are working deep and getting into some nice Mackinac.
Hey, RodMobbers, help support the show. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a review.
On the rivers, recent rain has kicked up the steelhead action on the Trinity. Fishing has improved from Douglas City to Willow Creek. Potski Bait Company pro Kirk Portocarrero reported on the Potski Fire blog this week that there are still plenty of fish throughout the Trinity system, particularly where the Trinity meets the Klamath. If you're looking for fresh chromers, though, the coastal rivers are a better bet.
The lower Sac from Redding to the Bend Bridge is seeing steady trout and steelhead action. Drifting worms, crickets, and trolling flatfish are producing hookups, as well as nymphs with indicators.
The Sacramento River in the Knights Landing area is still kicking out some sturgeon, and it's looking like the striper action is about to bust wide open.
Steelhead fishing remains good on the Feather River in the low flow section and in the high flow section below the outlet down to Gridley. Anglers are hooking up with flies and drifting crawlers. RodMobber Charles Knott reported in earlier this week saying it's good news for striper fishermen. The river was up about a foot, running a little dirty, but should be clearing up nicely. Charles also reported he caught a fat 15-pound channel cat on the Feather River near Marysville this week. He was fishing on the bottom with an anchovy using 10-pound Iser line and a steelhead rod. And Mountain Hardware in Truckee reports that the Truckee River is looking great weather-wise, but with these spring-like temps, expect a touch of snowmelt to occur, thus causing water temps to dip a little. Best times are 10 to 4 now. From Glenshire down to the Boca outflow, one might find more dry activity, and should note that squallas are active, and one should throw patterns that will imitate this bug. With very cold water temps, you'll need repeated drifts to coax fish now to accept your offerings. If the California side of the Truckee gets you a little flustered, maybe a trip to the Nevada side will turn your luck around. Try the Mogul area, downtown, or further east past Sparks, as you should find some willing participants to grab your offerings.
In the eastern Sierras, the weather is warming up and the snow is melting. Great reports are coming in from the lower and upper Owens, Hot Creek, and the East Walker. Joe Contaldi from Performance Anglers reported a great day on Hot Creek yesterday, with all their trout, 11 total, being taken on dries, including a 16-inch brown. Joe says it was a little windy out there today, but overall the weather is warm and Hot Creek is fishing well between 11 and 3.
In our last podcast, we had a giveaway of our Stay Clean Boot Puller, one of the coolest new products we saw at the fly fishing show in Pleasanton. We just want to give a big shout out and congratulations to our 5 winners, Brad, Stan, Dan, John, and Darren. We'll all be taking home a free Stay Clean Boot Puller, a $40 retail value. You can check out the Stay Clean Boot Puller and get one of your own at staycleanbootpuller.com.
Woo! Fish! Woo! All right!
Catch of the week.
This week, our podcast artwork comes courtesy of Charles Knott, who posted a report and a picture of a fat 15-pound channel cat he hooked on the Feather River near Marysville. Thanks for posting on our Facebook page, Charles, and congratulations on being this week's Catch of the Week.
All right, now for our poll question. Last time we asked, do you go on guided fishing trips or are you a do-it-yourselfer? 72% of you said DIY is the way to go, and 28% of you said you occasionally go on guided trips. What about you, Scott?
I mix it up. I love going on guided trips. I learned a ton of stuff about a new fishery, and also usually guaranteed to catch some fish.
That's a plus.
Yes.
All right, now for this week's poll question.
So I've been watching Wicked Tuna lately, and last week one of the episodes focused on what they call googans. It means like the weekend warriors, and these googans would come up to the captains and they would literally like anchor up on their boats real close while they're fishing. And when the captains would ask these guys to kind of back off, the googans would tell the skippers to basically go F themselves. I was very surprised. I know that guys from Boston can be a little rude. I've been to plenty of A's Red Sox games and seen a lot of bad stuff. And then the episode I caught last night, these guys actually got in a shoving match, the two of the captains. So I don't know. This got me thinking about fishing etiquette here in Northern California. I know in general, California is a little bit more laid back than the folks from Beantown. So I'm just curious what you guys think about fishing etiquette here in California. Is there a fishing etiquette problem that you see? Let us know. Head on over to rodmob.com to cast your vote.
Upcoming events you won't want to miss. Here's the RodMob calendar.
This weekend, March 16th and 17th, is the Hook, Line, and Sinker Derby at Pyramid Lake. The grand prize is a 2013 Polaris Sportsman Touring ATV and accessories valued at $9,500. And there are 2nd to 20th place prizes that include an additional $7,000 in cash and prizes. The entry fee is $60 and includes lunch on either Saturday or Sunday. You can call the Crosby Lodge at 775-476-0400 or sign up for the Derby at the bar at Crosby Lodge. Coming up next week, Wednesday, March 20th, is the March Siffy Blast. 7 p.m. at the Elks Lodge on Riverside Boulevard in Sacramento. Join fellow members and the SIFI Board of Directors for a general membership pizza night blast. They'll cover what's been happening, what's coming up, plans for the derbies, and Scott Feist of Feisty Fish Guide Service will be the guest speaker. There will also be a raffle with great prizes. Seating is limited, so reserve your space today. Call Wendy at 209-810-9603 or go to www.sifi.org to reserve your seat. On Thursday, March 21st, Fisherman's Warehouse presents its Thursday seminars. Todd Whitwer of Kokanee.net Guide Service will talk bass lake fishing at 6:15 p.m. at the Fisherman's Warehouse in Fresno. Alan Fong and Warren Trumbley of Fun Fishing will be at the Fisherman's Warehouse in Manteca at 6 p.m. Saturday, March 23rd, in the South Bay area, Coyote Bait and Tackle in Morgan Hill will be having their biggest sale of the year. Reps will be there with all the hot gear, all rods and reels will be on sale, and they'll pay the tax. March 28th, at the Fisherman's Warehouse in Sacramento, John Enos will be talking Feather River striper fishing at 6 p.m. And on March 30th, at Valley Rod and Gun in Clovis, Dick Nichols of Dick's Fishing Charters, Captain Jack Yandell of Captain Jack's Tackle, and Lee Gates of the Shaver Lake Trophy Trout Project we'll present on Shaver Lake history and current fishing. And of course, April 6th is the salmon opener, and the Motherlode Team Trout Derby will be coming to Lake Comanche. For details on these and other upcoming events, check out our events page at rodmob.com. And if you have an event you'd like us to mention, just drop us a line at fishon@rodmob.com.
Well, that's it for today's show. We want to give a big shout out to everyone who contributed reports this week. Be sure to check out our Facebook page for daily updates from the RodMob community.
And we've got all kinds of ways for you to keep us posted with your fishing reports. You can shoot us an email at fishon@rodmob.com. You can post to our Facebook page. You can tweet your reports to us on Twitter. Or you can pick up the phone and give us a call on the RodMob hotline at 855-RODMOB1. Leave us a message anytime, day or night, with your latest fishing report or shout-out. And as always, if you share a report, we'll send you a free weather-resistant decal so you can help rep the mob on your car, truck, or boat.
If you're listening from your iPhone or from iTunes, please subscribe to the RodMob podcast on iTunes and leave us a review. If you've got an Android phone, you can listen to us free anytime. Just download the Stitcher Smart Radio app and add us to your favorites. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. And until next time,
That just happened.
keep us posted.
RodMob.